Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is On Palmer.
Welcome in. On Palmer with you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Monday. AC Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Sloppy out there in Baton Rouge. We've got the Arctic blast coming later this week. Whatever. I think some people love it when it's cold on Christmas. I don't really like it to be cold anytime. It's just nasty out there. I'm good in August when it's 100. I'm fine. This rainy, cold, not my gig. But I hope your Monday is going well. Counting down the days to the Christmas holiday. Hopefully you got all your shopping done. I'm done. So stress-free at this point. But if you're not, get out there and make it happen. We'll be with you here for the next 2 hours. Loads and loads to get to. The NFL is in hyperdrive at this point. Just drama everywhere with the National Football League. Saints got to win. We'll talk about that very briefly. Florida got hammered in their bowl game. We can talk a little about that. LSU Hoops got a W against Winthrop on Saturday. Or was that? Yeah, Saturday. We'll discuss that a little bit later as well. Take it or leave it. You know the drill. So appreciate you all for locking us in here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly met with the media over the weekend, kind of getting ready for bowl prep. They've started practice. They're out there on the field. And while really the vast majority of the focus is on the transfer portal and the signing class that will start inking their names to signing paper on Wednesday, there is some direction towards Purdue in the bowl game. I can't say how much is being reciprocated up in West Lafayette, but certainly here they're locking in on the Citrus Bowl. And there was some news that Brian Kelly was talking about. I liked what he said about the secondary that Jarek Bernard-Converse and Jay Ward are going to play. That's the state of college football now. You have to announce when players are going to play as opposed to when they're not going to play. But the most important news nugget from Brian Kelly was certainly regarding the quarterback position. He said if there was a game tomorrow, Jaden Daniels would be ready to go. We know that he was really banged up entering the Georgia game, and it got worse in that game, so much so that he came out of the game. He was in a walking boot for a week or 10 days, but it appears he's back out there on the practice field and is prepared to play in this game. There are a lot of different pieces to this LSU quarterback puzzle. Who's playing in the bowl game? Who's starting in the bowl game? Who's entering the transfer portal? Who's not? What's looking like for next year? Where are the reps at? There's a lot of moving pieces, and we don't have enough information to speak to it wholly. But this is one piece of the puzzle, is that Jaden Daniels is apparently prepared to play in this game. And when I say that, I mean like he's not leaving to go to the draft right now. So it would make sense that he would be the starting quarterback in this game. That's what I'm going to assume. And when I have discussions with friends or family members or just people, sometimes via Twitter or the Bayou Ford chat, whatever it may be, and the quarterback position comes up, I feel like it's like 90, 95% in support of Garrett Nussmeier and dismissive of Jaden Daniels. And I do understand the upside of Garrett Nussmeier. Like I've said on this show, I think the likelihood of LSU's offense becoming a very, very potent and high-powered passing offense is more likely with the development of Garrett Nussmeier and the limiting of his turnovers as opposed to Jaden Daniels flipping the switch and becoming really aggressive down the field. I've said that. But I think far more people are like, Daniels is not a winner. He's not going to win us games. Nussmeier's got to be the guy if you're going to be a great team next year. I feel like that's not like the vocal minority. I feel like that is the majority of people. And while, yes, Garrett Nussmeier is more decisive and probably definitely has a better, a stronger arm, it's not like Jaden Daniels was a disaster this year. Yeah, like I get it. People were frustrated at times when he would sit back in the pocket and not deliver the ball. I get that. But by the same token, you do realize they went right down the field on Florida 6 times in a row, right? You realize he made plays to get you all the way back into the Florida State game, right? You saw the Bama game. Pretty good effort. And I think people because the backup quarterback's always the most popular guy on campus, there's always did you forget the fact that you have a quarterback back there in Jaden Daniels who, when he does tuck it and run it, none of the linebackers ever catch him? He outruns them every time. Did you see overtime against Bama? Not all the quarterbacks can do that. It's a pretty special skill set. I said week after week after week on here that I wanted him to be more decisive. I wanted him to put the ball in the air. I wanted the 50-50 balls to let these wide receivers go make plays. So don't misunderstand and think that I'm sitting here telling you that Jaden Daniels is the answer to everything. He's an all-conference quarterback and definitely needs to be the quarterback next year. Like, I'm not trying to make massive sweeping judgments. I'm just trying to temper the other side a little bit and say, hey, the guy is pretty good. Is he perfect? No. But he's pretty good. And I'd welcome him back on the team next year. And I bet there's a big percentage of y'all driving around your cars, listening to this wherever you may be, catching it on YouTube. They're saying, no. We got to have Nussmeier, Walker Howard's the future. Daniels doesn't throw the ball enough. He holds on to it too long. Like, I agree. At times, he did hold on to it too long. But at times, he made some really good plays. I thought he gutted the first half of the Georgia game out really admirably. I did. And I think he made a lot of great plays throughout the year. He was really productive. There were times where he was the whole offense. They could not run the ball. There were issues getting the ball down the field. Some of that's on him. Some of it's not. But he's a special dude running the football. I've never seen a quarterback at LSU that could move like that. So for me, the news that he's prepared to play in the bowl game, I think, is noteworthy, and I'm okay with it. I think it's probably a more interesting storyline if you're just talking talk radio. If Garrett Nussmeier goes out there and lights it up, I think that creates a lot of interesting discussion here in Baton Rouge. But as far as the program goes, it's hard for me to try to kick this guy out of town when he's been, he won most outstanding player on the offense this year at the football banquet. Literally. MVP of the offense. So, I'm assuming if he's ready to go, he's the starter. I'm not going to assume that because he's playing in the game, he won't at least take a look at the NFL. And you can hem and haw and go, he's not an NFL quarterback. Nobody's going to draft him. Nobody wants that. Well, look, that doesn't matter to us here in Baton Rouge. And I think there are teams that will want him because of what I just said. There just aren't that many quarterbacks that can do that with their legs. And you look around the league at some of the quarterbacks who have played on really good teams and have won a lot of football games. Mobility is in the NFL. Ask the Eagles. Ask the Ravens. Move around a little bit. They're good with it. So we'll just have to see what happens with the LSU quarterback room over the next month. Maybe it used to be we knew the timeline. It's right after the bowl game. For that next week, guys make their decisions. Generally, they get questions about it after the bowl game, and the answers come there or the next week. I remember distinctly Trey Turner telling me after the Outback Bowl in January of 2014 that he was out. So that's how that went. It's not like that anymore. Bijan Robinson announced today from Texas, I'm out. I'm done. You saw a lot of players have made their announcements prior to the bowl game. Doesn't appear that's going to happen here with Jaden Daniels. So we'll just have to wait and see. But the news is that Jaden Daniels ready to rock and will likely be the starter for LSU's bowl game. Again, I mentioned this at the top of the segment, but I want to reiterate. Huge that LSU is going to have Dark Bernard Converse and Jay Ward playing in this bowl game. Those are two guys who are going to be eligible for the NFL draft coming up and don't have to play. It's the Citrus Bowl. But they want to, and LSU's going to need them because Purdue throws the ball a lot. I realize their top two pass catchers are not going to play this game, but they're just going to put more guys out there, and they're going to throw it. LSU's numbers, especially with a couple of young corners entering the transfer portal, they're weak in terms of numbers at corner, and if those guys decided to opt out, you'd be in a world of hurt trying to cover Purdue with a bunch of guys that haven't played or changing positions. So I think it's a big deal that Jari Bernard-Converse and Jay Ward are going to play in this game. And I think that now that you look at the rosters as we can evaluate them, essentially what's going to be out there, LSU's in a much, 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 much better spot than Purdue is. Purdue is in a bad way. LSU, as things go in this era of college football, is in a pretty good spot as far as who's going to be healthy and ready to play in this bowl game. So reason LSU's a 2-touchdown favorite. I like the Tigers in the game, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as the week develops. Crazy weekend in the NFL. We'll get to that in 20 minutes. I want to talk about Florida's season ending at the end of this hour. LSU Hoops gets a win over Winthrop. Transfer portal buzzing. Talk about Aaron Anderson and a couple other guys that LSU has welcomed to campus over the weekend in the second hour. When we come back, Saints get a win. My takes on it. It's always good to beat the Falcons, but do we have to start talking about the Saints getting into the playoffs? I'll let you know next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Love telling you about LWCC. It's because they love telling you about champions of Louisiana, like Mimosa Handcrafted and their founder, Madeline Ellis. Madeline was a landscape architect just to make some jewelry as a hobby. Her husband, Dawson, said, hey, that's your passion. Go do it. So Madeline did, and Mimosa Handcrafted took off. They just opened their first brick-and-mortar location at 541 South Eugene Street. It's right next to Red Stick Reeds. And when you go in there and you shop with Mimosa Handcrafted, it makes a difference because 1% of every sale goes to their Goods for Good program, which allows the customers to select from a list of charitable causes like the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, maybe the Mental Health Association of Greater Baton Rouge. So you make a difference with your purchase over there at Mimosa Handcrafted. They are this month's champion of Louisiana. Their founder, Madeline Ellis, a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana here in our great state, then go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate someone so that LWCC can recognize them as a champion of Louisiana, and we can tell their story right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Mimosa Handcrafted, December's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap Saints-Falcons and everything Brian Kelly had to say about the recruiting weekend and bowl prep for Purdue. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, the Saints won. Everybody excited? 21-18, beat the Falcons in the Dome yesterday. Started off with a really scary situation. In pregame warmups, Dean Pease, the Falcons defensive coordinator, gets run over by, I believe, Rashid Shaheed in pregame and had to be carted off the field, taken to the hospital. He was cleared to fly home, but a scary spot. So the Falcons enter the game with no defensive coordinator and just kind of make it work on the fly. And the defense wasn't terrible, but the Saints did do enough to win the game. And look, if you're a Saints fan, sweeping the Falcons is good. That feels good. You don't like them. It's a heated rivalry. I didn't really understand the intensity of the rivalry until I got down here to college, which was in 2006. So been 16 years now, but I didn't quite see how intense that rivalry was. It is, and that's really nice to sweep the Falcons for sure. Wasn't exactly a work of art, though. And if Drake London doesn't fumble there late, it's trouble, big time. Because Atlanta kind of had the momentum. They had the juice. They were rolling. They're running the football like crazy. I realize the clock's getting tight there, but London puts it on the deck, and the Saints secure the win. You won the game, and two things were really ugly. Dalton completed 11 passes. I mean, it is what it is with him. He's a competent backup quarterback in the NFL. And anything more than that is just not what he is. He completes 11 throws. That's not exactly lighting it up. And the Saints defense got gashed, especially in the second half. Atlanta ran for 231 in the game. Algiers he averaged 8.2 yards a carry, just trucking through. But on the plus side, you got Kamara going a little bit. You did get Taysom involved. He ran it for 30, completed the big one to Shaheed for the long touchdown. And it seems like the more Taysom gets involved, the better the Saints are. I gave the stat back on Friday when Taysom runs for 60. They're 4-0. When he doesn't, they're 0-9. Well, he didn't this time, but he did. He completed the two big throws, and he did run the football a little bit. He was involved. And Shaheed made the huge play and really has done that all year long when called upon. But this, to me, is not some indication that the Saints are moving in the right direction. It was just good enough over 3 hours is basically as excited about as I can get. Right now, you're 5-9. Your next three are at Cleveland, at Philly, and versus Carolina. Interestingly enough, if the Colts could have held on to win that game against Minnesota, which they were up 33 points, then Philly could have clinched the 1 seed this coming week prior to playing the Saints. So you may have gotten a Philly team that was interested in resting. Now, I don't think you're going to. Now, anything can happen this coming week, and we'll see. But I don't love the Saints going to Cleveland where the game time forecast is going to be about 15 degrees. I don't love the Saints going to Philly and playing that team. And then you got to come home, and we'll see if you can beat Carolina. But, yeah, they're one game out. They don't have the tiebreaker with Tampa. But that's not a conversation we're going to have on this show. It's just not. You got a nice win that should make you feel better because you beat the Falcons. but they had a rookie quarterback out there that didn't know what he was doing, that looked confused, that wasn't efficient, that was inaccurate, and you got it done because the rookie wide receiver dropped the football. But you continue to watch this, or at least I do, and I'm screaming at a tree, and it's not going to matter. I just don't understand putting Dalton out there. The reason they've got Dalton out there is pretty clear. They don't like Jameis Winston. They think Dalton gives them a better chance to win. And you look at the standings, and they think if they win out, they can get in the playoffs. That's why Andy Dalton's out there. For the purposes of this show, that conversation is stupid. Now, Dennis Allen doesn't have the luxury of looking at it that way because he could get axed if the whole thing falls apart. So he can't do that. But the franchise isn't growing at all, putting Andy Dalton out there. I've been over it time and time and time again. Now, the franchise is growing a little bit when Shaheed is making big plays because he makes nothing. When Juwan Johnson is making big plays because he makes nothing. And that's what the Saints are going to have because you got a bunch of aging players on big contracts that nobody wants, so you're stuck with them. And so for you to improve the football team, it's going to have to come from guys who make nothing. And Hasheem Shaheed and Juwan Johnson are that. And Johnson's kind of a tweener, not a true tight end, not a true wide receiver, but he catches the ball, made a couple guys miss. Nice run after the catch plays from him yesterday. And then Shaheed is a problem. Now, the angle the safety took on that throw from Taysom was atrocious, but that's because they're the Falcons and they do things that are atrocious. But when Shaheed's out there, you have to pay attention because he's the fastest guy on the field. And that's just a revelation that the Saints have found. While you sit here and you're waiting on Peyton Turner, figure it out, see if Davenport can be a productive guy, and some of these guys that you invested a ton in early in the draft, it's one of these guys that you picked up off the scrap heap that's making the biggest plays of the season. And that is an absolute godsend for the Saints because they're going to need it. And I don't think it's fluky. Like, speed's not fluky. He's going to be able to do that week in and week out. Now, the question is, can they get him the ball? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But Taysom did put one up there, and he went out and made a play. So, again, your quarterback completes 11 throws. You can't stop the run at all. But you got Kamara going a little bit. He runs for 90+. You got Taysom involved. He makes a couple big plays. And you beat your hated rival. That's where, for me, the conversation basically stops. You don't get to, Bucks lost again. No, I'm not. I just can't do it. Hanny didn't do it. I don't know what Matt will say. I'm sure T-Bob and Jacob this morning didn't do it. And I look in the Bayou 4 chat. Troutman is useless. Yeah, it's another draft pick that you took there that you thought you were going to get a hit on, and he just hasn't produced very much. But Johnson is. So at that type of position, you've got something. But it's nothing more to me than just a nice win over a rival. I was watching the game. Maybe I'm overreacting here. I could be wrong. And if somebody in the Bayou 4 chat or on Twitter at Palmer88 was at the game in the Dome, like, correct me if I was wrong. It felt like I was hearing some like echoes, like it may not have been all that full. It just didn't sound like your normal Saints game. You've watched enough now that you know what the Dome usually sounds like in a huge game, especially against the Falcons in December, playoff spot on the line, that type of stuff. It just didn't feel like that. It felt a little bit hollow. It felt like there was an echo. It just did not feel like the same juice. And when we talked last week to Sharif Ishak, about the environment of the Dome, he said, yeah, apathetic. I mean, the city's just not all jazzed up. One, that's a shame because it's really fun when the Saints are buzzing and the city's buzzing, and it's a very festive time. But right now, they've just been a gross disappointment, and you can't sustain that when you look up and your team is in last place in the worst division in football, which as of 24 hours ago, they were. What a disaster of a division. I was listening to T-Bob this morning, and all those, scenarios that have to happen for everybody to tie at 6-11. All that happened on Sunday. By the way, speaking of that, I hate the 17th game. Not because I hate more football or player safety, or none of those things. It's because the numbers don't immediately flood to my head like the 16-game schedule did. Yeah, 10-6. Yeah, 7-9. Yeah, 4-12. Like all those just rolled off, and I have to think to try to get to 17, which is pitiful. But I'm not a numbers guy. Numbers bad, words. And so whenever I try to rattle off a record of an NFL team or what team has to go or what's possible, I have to sit there and think about it because I'm an idiot, and I just prefer the 16 games. That's my biggest beef with Goodell and the schedule. Nope, I don't care about the player safety aspect of it. Yeah, more football, whatever. I can't quickly come up with the numbers off the top of my head. It's kind of a Hunt problem, but it is a problem. But it wasn't a problem yesterday for the Saints. They get the win, 21-18. Wasn't a work of art, but nice. Now you got to go to Cleveland if you just jumped in your car. I saw somebody just tweet out the forecast for Cleveland with the Arctic blast coming in. Looks like about 15 degrees at kickoff between the Saints and the Browns up there. Probably not going to be a whole lot of fun. I do not volunteer to go to that. I played golf yesterday, and it was like 40, and that was chilly enough for me. 15 degrees, that's unacceptable. But the Saints will be up there dealing with it in Cleveland this coming weekend. Saints beat the Falcons 21-18. Todd Dupree says, Hunt, don't math. Trust me, I don't, if at all possible. When we come back, I want to get some of my takes on the NFL weekend that was. And the main theme of one of them is it is over. I'll tell you what I'm talking about next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford, it is all at BayouFord.com. Check out the inventory, whether you're in the market for Explorer Expedition. I love my Explorer. It's got plenty of room for the kiddo. We've had to go up a size in car seats as he just about turns 1. Plenty of room. Plus, if you just have adults, you can fit 6 very, very comfortably in an Explorer. If you need more room, the Expedition will work for you. It is big, spacious, roomy, and drives awesome. If you're looking for a truck, F-150, F-250, maybe you're in the market for a Mustang or a Bronco, it's all at BayouFord.com. They've got the deals right there on the tab on the website. Check out the inventory as it changes week to week, day to day even, over there at BayouFord.com. Every single new purchase, 1 million-mile powertrain warranty over at Bayou Ford. The website, again, BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150.
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Looking up at my TV screen here in studio, got Mike Morgan and Eric McLean on there from the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Myrtle Beach Bowl got the 1:30 p.m. Monday time slot. That's not exactly ideal, I would not think, but that's all right. I feel bad for my folks up in Shreveport at the Independence Bowl. Game's coming up this week, and the temperature's supposed to be in the 20s. Like, whoops. If it's not going to be the Snow Bowl that we had back in, I think, 99 or 2000, then we need some better weather in Shreveport. That's a tough scene. But love the Eye Bowl. Many, many fond memories going every single year growing up. Won't be making it this year because, it's in Shreveport, and I'm just not going to go out there when it's 25 degrees to watch two bad football teams play. But that's what they're doing in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Looks like UConn and Marshall are playing. So if you got some lettuce on it, we'll keep you updated with the scores. Speaking of scores, the NFL over the weekend was absolutely nuts. I teased it a little bit in the last segment saying, hey, it's over. And that, to me, is in reference to Tom Brady and the Bucs. Like, it's over. They're bad. He can't move. He's not even playing well. If you take away the last 2 minutes of that Saints game, he stunk. He was missing deep balls, missing intermediate stuff. His temperament is awful on the field and on the sidelines. They got to be sick of that. Like, if you're going to be a jerk to everyone on the sidelines for 3 hours straight every single Sunday, you might want to mix in a couple of good plays. They get a 17-point lead, then totally combust, turn the ball over on 4 straight trips. Brady won't protect it in the pocket, getting stripped, throwing picks. You can't act like a petulant child and play like one. Doesn't work that way. And I think they got to be sick of him in Tampa right now. I was on this early, especially when the offensive line injuries started coming through. That ship sunk. Maybe they'll win the division. And then somebody will take them out in the first round. They're not good. The Bengals do keep rolling. Wish they didn't fall behind by 17, but Joe, calm, collected, defense forcing some turnovers, getting them some short fields. They did stall in the red zone a couple times, especially early. They're trying to chip into that lead, but they get it done. And they just always seem to find a way to win the game. You take away the bad loss to Pittsburgh in the opener, and then they couldn't protect him against Dallas. But since then, they've been rolling. And now with Lamar going down, the Ravens lose because they can't score. And the Bengals are in control of the North. They have a 1-game lead. And it's really important to win that division so you can get a home playoff game. And that's what the Bengals are attempting to accomplish. I had somebody texted me this question the other day. So I wanted to put it to the poll. It'll be the Citizens Bank poll question of the day. You can find it on Twitter at 1045 ESPN. What teams' results are you more emotionally invested in right now? Cincinnati Bengals or LSU's Lady Tiger basketball team? Both teams are winning almost every game. And obviously, Kim Mulkey's created a ton of buzz around the women's basketball team. I just want to see you, the listener who checks out on the poll, which one of those teams would you watch if given the opportunity? Because the Bengals are kind of a new deal here. LSU is LSU, and we know this town, when LSU wins, people show up. Gymnastics, softball, baseball, football, basketball. Like, we know, and Kim's going to win. So I'm just curious. I'm going to throw that out there as the Citizens Bank poll question of the day. I'm personally, just myself, I'm excited for another little Bengals playoff run here. I had a lot of fun with it last year. It's the only team that I support where the losses don't really hurt me. When LSU's baseball team gets eliminated, I'm like inconsolable. You got a long basketball season you're invested in from November into March, and you get to the tournament and you come up short. Man, that sucks. We know football losses hurt bad around here. And the Cubs, when they don't win, I hate it. It's just the Bengals. I enjoy the highs. I celebrate the wins. But if they lose, it's not going to wreck my week. I'm not there. So it's kind of a pitiful way to look at it. I like to be fully committed, but it's just not. It's a new thing with me at the Bengals. I like to win. I'm watching. I hope they win. But if they lose, it's kind of the most fun team maybe that I pull for. Nobody that pulls for the Jets has any fun. And that's where I want to go next on the NFL here. What in the world are they doing? They're trying to come back and tie or win against Detroit. They've got 3 timeouts left. Tackled in bounds. Under a minute. Nobody's calling timeout. How many people in green are on this sideline? And no one, they lost 40 plus seconds not calling a timeout. That is criminal. And look, I have no idea how to scheme up a defense, how to beat zone coverage versus man coverage. I couldn't tell you the first thing about blocking schemes and shifting protections. None of that stuff. And football coaches are pretty smart people. They can figure all that stuff out and put it in real time. But nobody can figure out when to call a timeout. That was malpractice. Ended up having to settle for almost a 60-yarder. You miss, Lions win. But that's why you're the Jets, I guess. Absolutely inexcusable there. Speaking of inexcusable, Taylor, not great. Jacksonville, 2-score lead. Pro Bowl quarterback. What are we doing?
Well, you can call him a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's fine. Look, I just feel like they hinder their offense because they're like, we paid Dak $40 million. We can't not make him throw the ball 30 times a game. Hunt, he was so efficient in the first half. He only threw 14 passes, but he was 13 of 14. Yeah. Dak is not a volume thrower. The more and more you make him throw, the more mistakes he makes. You're up double digits in the fourth quarter instead of running with Elliott and Pollard, who were awesome all game.
Yep.
You put the ball in Dak's hands, multiple turnovers in the fourth quarter. You can't win like that.
No, you can't. And the last one's not his fault. Ball bounces off, pick 6, game's over in overtime. But you got to ice that game. And it's not like icing the game is a luxury when you've got Pollard and Zeke. Like, look how good those guys are. It should be a no-brainer to want to give those guys. And then you're dropping back, getting sacked, throwing picks with the lead. It's just why they're hard to trust. They are hard to trust at this point, and that was an absolutely brutal loss that they suffered. The Eagles continue to win. They go to 13-1. I'm keeping my eyes on my Chicago folks, and they are just beaming over Justin Fields. They lose every week, but they've convinced themselves that this is the reality that they want to live in, where the quarterback looks great. I use air quotes there. He did run for 95 yards, had the big highlight run, and they lose, so their draft pick gets better. Right now they're looking potentially at the number 2 pick, which would be pretty good for them. And then the last NFL storyline that I wanted to get to, the Texans continue to be plucky underdogs here. Kansas City goes down there. They got to go to overtime. Mahomes gets it done, and they do. I mean, he was 36 of 40 for 336. Just an obscene stat line from Patrick Mahomes. But the Texans continue to put up a fight, and they need to quit doing that because they need to keep the number 1 pick. They keep playing playoff teams, and they should have beaten the Cowboys, and then they almost beat the Chiefs. Got taken overtime there. So, look, the NFL is such incredible entertainment. It's just remarkable when you look at this over the weekend. You've got the 33-point comeback by the Vikings. The entire internet's just blasting away at the Vikings, blasting away at Kirk Cousins. All of a sudden you look up and he's thrown for 464 touchdowns, and they completed the biggest comeback ever to win the division. You've got that. You've got the Patriots throwing the ball 23 yards across the field, getting it intercepted and run back for a touchdown to lose the game. You got the snow game between the Bills and Dolphins. You got the Jets doing inexplicable things. Cowboys blowing leads. The worst team in the league and maybe the best team in the league and the Chiefs going to overtime. It's amazing. And y'all have heard me for years talk on this about how the NFL is not where my bread's buttered. Like, I appreciate the product. I don't have a dog in the hunt. And it's never been my favorite thing. But it's undeniable the entertainment value that the NFL creates. And it was just another example of that on Sunday. And you look up, and even Saturday, you look up now and you look at the playoff races, and it's just a dogfight everywhere. You got the Bengals and Ravens, nip and tuck. Now you've got the AFC South, which the Jaguars are making a push for with the Titans. You've got whatever's going on in the NFC South that's awful football, but wildly entertaining week to week because everybody's still in the mix. You've got the additional wild card games that make more teams relevant. The Lions wouldn't be relevant in a different era because they got off such a bad start. But now all of a sudden you look up, they're 7-7, they got a shot. I was looking at the standings, looking at the schedule moving forward this morning, and I was like, man, this is incredible. Unfortunately for this market, the team that everyone here cares about, the New Orleans Saints, is a disaster. But from top to bottom, in terms of standing, play on the field, moments, players, rivalries, it's just amazing what it can produce. So now you look up, the Bengals have the longest winning streak in the National Football League. They have won 6 in a row. The Titans have lost 4 in a row. That's why the Jags have been able to narrow it. The Bills, they've clinched a playoff spot. They're at 11-3. And San Francisco, very quietly, 7 in a row. 7 wins in a row for the 49ers. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They just plug and play. I realize I said the Bengals had the longest win streak in the sport at 6. It's not. San Francisco has 7. My mistake. But that's maybe a little under the radar because they don't have the star power over there in San Francisco at the quarterback spot, whether it's Garoppolo or whether it's Purdy. They're just winning because they got a good coach and a great roster. So buckle up for the last few weeks of NFL football. Saints, I don't think are going to be a talking point, but there is a lot to get to, and it is just a fascinating sport. All right, when we come back to close out hour number 1, I want to do something that's always very fun, make fun of Florida. Can we agree on that? We'll do it next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Children and youth with CASA and GAL volunteers are more likely to succeed in school. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision.
On Tuesdays, OTB, ho, 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 one day closer to Christmas. And to Pelicans fans, get an early present in the form of a broken losing streak. Plus, it's almost signing day. Off the bench, 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Knocked out a few Christmas movies this weekend. Watched It's a Wonderful Life. Watched Family Stone. Like that one. It's a good one. Kind of sad, but good. I think there was another Christmas movie I watched too, but I'm not coming up with it immediately. Maybe later. But always enjoy the Christmas movies. Probably going to get into another one tonight. I have a few DVR'd. We have Elf DVR'd. I think we have Home Alone DVR'd. So we'll probably get into that again tonight. Maybe a little hot chocolate. It's the time of year. Got to be miserable outside because it's freezing cold. You might as well enjoy the time inside. Speaking of miserable, Florida went out to the Vegas Bowl. Kind of. Got down 30-0. And they kicked a field goal right there at the end to keep the non-shutout streak going. They have scored a game in scored points in every game since 1988. 50 more than any other team. I was born in 88, so I'm a living embodiment to how long it's been since Florida got shut out in a football game. And it didn't happen against those pesky Oregon State Beavers. But that was a real dud to end the season for Florida. Look, you're down your top two quarterbacks. You're going to your third teamer. They couldn't get anything going on offense, and the defense hasn't been very good all year, and Oregon State was fired up to be there. The coaches signed an extension. They've got some positive momentum. They want to be there, and they just trucked Florida from start to finish in that game. It was totally non-competitive from the start. And I think at this point, we live in this social media era, Twitter era, where everybody's gotta overreact to everything. That's what we've got to do, right? You got to overreact to everything. And for one point, everybody's trying to compare Brian Kelly and Billy Napier. To me, I don't think it matters at all. It would have to go so well at one spot and so poorly at another spot for that conversation to even have any merit. They're good coaches. One's got a lot more skins on the wall. They both went to places with a ton of resources. They're expected to win and win pretty quickly. And Brian Kelly had a really nice start to his first year. Billy Napier's first year was pretty uneven. I think when I gave out grades last week, I think I gave him a D, maybe a C. But it was 6-6. They lose a bowl game to go to 6-7. But honestly, it was going to take more than a year. Dan Mullen's recruiting classes were not great, and you were going to have to overhaul that roster, and that's what Billy Napier is trying to do. Right now, their signing class is ranked 9th in the country. It includes Jalen Rashada, who, depending on what service you're looking at, is a 5-star quarterback. And then there was some news earlier today that Grayson McCall, the former Coastal Carolina quarterback who has entered his name in the transfer portal, is very much considering Florida. He was going to visit Auburn. We thought that all the signs were pointing towards him being Hugh Freeze's guy. Then he decided not to visit Auburn, and the inclination there is that maybe Devin Leary, the NC State quarterback, is now number 1 on Auburn's board. But Florida very much in the mix for Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina, who would be a significant upgrade for them at the quarterback spot, in my opinion. The thing is, though, I'm having a hard time understanding how much I'm supposed to care about Florida at this point. Because I'm sitting here as an LSU guy in Baton Rouge, and for my entire life, LSU's played Florida every year, so I have to be invested in what their program looks like. I don't know if LSU's going to play Florida in 2 years. They're going to play every other year? They're going to play every 3 or 4 years? I don't know. That's what this scheduling issue with Texas and Oklahoma coming in has created for me. I don't know who I'm supposed to hate. I don't know. I got to understand how much passion I'm supposed to have towards teams. If Florida comes off my schedule every year, what makes them any different than Georgia or South Carolina or Tennessee? Nothing. I got to hate the teams that LSU's dealing with every year. So I've been very comfortable with my dislike for Florida over the years. Very comfortable coming in here and laughing at them for getting crushed by Oregon State in a bowl game. Very comfortable coming in here and saying, hey, 6-7, you guys stink. But now, because we don't know what the schedule looks like in 2 years, I can't fully commit to that. I don't even know if we're going to play Bama every year in 2 years. A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, I don't know. So I got this whole thing keyed up, and we're playing Florida next year. So if Grayson McCall comes there, I can find some dislike there, because I know we're going to deal with him. But as far as the program as a whole and these freshmen they're bringing in and whatnot, how do you know? Commissioner Sankey, you got to give me some answers. I was excited. I was supposed to have Greg Sankey on my pregame show before the SC Championship game, but he had some other things come up, so he couldn't join us. But that was going to be my question. I'm not asking you what the schedule's going to be, but do you have any idea when we're going to figure this out? Because it's fairly important. And if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know that if you gave me the opportunity to next year pick any SEC game across the board to go to, or a ticket into the ballroom conference room to watch them hash out the schedule, I would pick watch them hash out the schedule over any SEC football game, because that's how fascinating I think this is. It's huge. It's everything. It's your future. If you're Auburn, do you still have to play Bama and Georgia every year? If I'm LSU, is A&M, is that every year? State? When do I get to play Vanderbilt? That's what I need to know. It's so important, because sometimes the schedule is more important than the team. Some years you get Georgia, some years you get Vandy. It matters. So I enjoyed watching Florida get run off the field in the Vegas Bowl. I'm rooting for their failure, but for how much longer? We'll see. But not a great year for Billy Napier. I think everyone in Gainesville kind of going to give him a pass because they were so put out with Mullen and what he was doing from a recruiting standpoint. They understand that roster wasn't where it needed to be. But in year 2, you got to get it figured out. There are no grace periods after year 1. Same thing goes for Brian Kelly. I don't compare the two. Those are just the realities of situations at LSU and Florida. Real dud for the Gators as they lose the Vegas Bowl by 1,000 to Oregon State. That's it for Hour 1. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you catch your audio, your video in YouTube's case, you can find The Hunt Palmer Show. Lots to get to in Hour number 2 as well. Transfer portal whirling. Give you some thoughts on that. We'll open up Hour number 2 with LSU Hoops getting a win over Winthrop. Come back with us after Sports Center, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Jets coach Robert Saleh defending quarterback Zach Wilson from critics, but he was non-committal today. Whether Wilson or Mike White will start Thursday night against the Jaguars. White, dealing with a ribs injury, is still being evaluated by doctors. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott putting the blame for the Jaguars' loss directly on his shoulders. He had 2 interceptions yesterday, including a game-ending pick 6. Prescott, though, far from the only reason Dallas is struggling, believes ESPN's Rex Ryan.
What happened to your vaunted defense? They gave up over 500 yards to Jacksonville, almost 200 yards rushing on the ground. They act like they're the 85 Bears on defense. They're not even close. They can't hold that team's jock. Right. And that's the bigger issue here. That team's soft.
Rex Ryan on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor likely out the 3 remaining games of the regular season with what the team fears is a high ankle sprain. A chance at NHL history tonight for Alexander Ovechkin when he and the Capitals host the Red Wings. He is 1 goal away from 801 in his career, which would tie Hall of Famer Gordie Howe for second most all-time. Coverage at 7 Eastern on ESPN+.
Coming up Tuesday, with both Steph Curry and Anthony Davis expected to miss extended time, which injury will be more costly for their team? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Tuesday, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Monday. Hope your week is off to a good start. Refreshed from a great weekend. Attack the week here. Hopefully you got some time off coming up. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. LSU Hoops back on the hardwood on Saturday night against Winthrop. And once again, as has been the case with this team more often than not, it was a tight one. Winthrop led this game 66-65 with 8 minutes and 22 seconds to play. LSU did win the last 8 minutes 24-15 and got out with an 89-81 victory to improve to 10-1. The offense for LSU was good in this game. We'll get to the not so good, but the offense was good. From the 16:08 mark to the 3:40 mark, it's about 12 minutes in the second half. LSU was 15 of 18 from the floor. That's efficient offense. They handled the ball pretty well. They shot the ball well. I thought there was some excellent passing. I thought the spacing was good. I thought LSU's efficiency coming out of timeouts, which has been really good all year, was very good in this game as well. They were getting good shots and making them. For the game, LSU shot 55%. They were 41% from the three-point line, which is very, very good. If you take out Adam Miller and his 2 for 10 from the three-point line, everyone else was 9 of 17. That's better than 50% from 3. Cam Hayes was the breakout player in this game. He goes for 25 points. He dished out 4 assists, only turned it over once, shot 4 of 6 from three-point range. He was excellent in the game, and this is a guy who has certainly made some strides. He's been probably the number one talking point for the last 2 weeks with this team. Yeah, KJ's been excellent and was crucial in the weight game for sure. And yeah, Derek Fountain's gotten some love because he's kind of emerged as well, and we've talked about him. But Cam Hayes is the other talking point for this team right now, and he was great in the game on Saturday. I want to give a shout-out to Trey Hannibal, who had 6 assists and did not turn the ball over. The offense was really good. They could score pretty much whenever they wanted to. The defense was terrible. I don't really have another way to say it. You let a bad Winthrop team shoot 52% from the floor. They were 11 of 26 from 3. You didn't turn them over a ton. They only had 12 turnovers. You let Hightower get going from 3 in the first half, and then Kelton Talford did what he's done all year. He's shooting almost 80% from the floor. It's amazing. But LSU, he's 6'7", and LSU couldn't get anybody down there to put up any kind of resistance against him. He goes 11 of 15 from the floor, scored 23 points in the game, and you didn't really have an answer for a 6-7 post. This guy cannot handle the ball. He doesn't even try to shoot threes. All he does is get to the block and go to work down there, and LSU didn't do a good job of dealing with it. KJ got in foul trouble. None of the other guys did a great job playing defense. And I'll tell you, I mean, this guy's had a good year. He's shooting 80%. He's in the top 5 in the country in field goal percentage. But you got to be able to guard him, and LSU couldn't. It was a poor defensive effort to let Winthrop score 81 points. So when you put it all together, it's a win, but there's some limits to this team. There's a reason why these bad basketball teams that are in the 200s and the 300s in the net that don't have any good wins on the season come in and play LSU tight, like Winthrop did and had a lead late in the game. I mean, I told you about this team on Friday. Penn State beat them by 25. Auburn beat them by 24. Southern Miss beat them by 25. Furman beat them by 15. And LSU was in a dogfight. Things get real dicey real quick after East Tennessee State on Wednesday. Arkansas, Kentucky. I mean, you know the list by now. I will say this for this team. I will say this. They continue to get in really tight games. And every single time, literally every time, they're making plays to win them. They beat Wofford by 3. They beat Texas Arlington by 4. They beat Wake by 2. They beat Winthrop, trailing with 8 minutes to go in the game. And even in the game they lost, they did make the play. The clock operator just didn't start. So I feel like I've been pretty realistic, pretty fair in looking at this team saying, look, I think it's a 5-6 win SEC team. I don't think it's a very good team. But they are making plays to win games. And they have played 2 Power 5 teams. They beat one of them in Atlanta and Wake, and they played one to overtime and got it taken away from them in the Bahamas. So I do expect him to be competitive more nights than not, but there are just some significant issues. At times, the offense seems clunky. This time, the defense couldn't stop anybody. But they've made plays when they had to. And I think that shows a pretty veteran team. KJ Williams has played a ton of basketball. Juice Hill's played a ton of basketball. Trey Hannibal's played a ton of basketball. Adam Miller's a third-year college player who's been in the NCAA tournament. It's an old team, the guys that are on the floor. Derek Fountain's a third-year college player. And they don't panic, and they don't get upset, and they don't get frustrated because they're playing a team none of them have ever heard of and they're losing. They just bow up and make some big plays. KJ Williams hits a huge 3 in this game from the top of the key in transition. Had to have it. Stretch the lead. Against Wake. Clock's running down. Juice Hill makes a play off the bounce, gets to the rim and scores. Against even the game you lost to Kansas State. A lot of you probably didn't watch that game. You had to pay $30 to do it. But I went back and saw the highlight after it was over. And LSU played good defense on its last defensive possession. In fact, there was a driver, and LSU knocked the ball free, and there was a scrum for the ball. It just popped into the hands of Keontae Johnson from Kansas State, who picked it up really late in the shot clock, and as the shot clock expired, threw up a 10-footer with one hand, and it went in. It was a fluky play. But LSU's defense was pretty good on that possession. Then they got the ball back with 4.5 seconds to go, got it down the floor, and Hannibal hit a layup, but you know the story by now. They didn't start the clock on time. But they had a pretty good defensive possession, and then they got the bucket they needed on offense. So every single time these late-game situations are coming up, LSU is making the plays. Now, they're doing it against bad teams. I can't give you too much credit for making the winning plays against Wofford. I can't give you too much credit for making the winning plays against Winthrop. Can't give you too much credit for making the winning plays against Texas Arlington. But they are. It could be worse. Ask Vanderbilt. They lost to Grambling. Ask South Carolina. They're having trouble finding any wins. So I think it's fair to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm going to say, hey, you're doing some good things. Keep fighting, keep scrapping. And, man, when you watch it, it's ugly. From a championship level perspective. For the expectation level of this team, it is pretty much what it is. I said back in November, I think they'll lose one or two of these no-name games. And they've won them all. Can't ding you too hard for losing to a Big 12 team. I thought they'd lose one of the Winthrop, UTA, Wofford games. And they still might. East Tennessee may get them. East Tennessee's awful, but they may get them on Wednesday. We'll see. So, yeah, if you're looking at this from an NCAA tournament perspective, from an SEC competition perspective, it doesn't look good. But, hey, their coach is putting them in good positions, and the guys are making some plays late. Good for you. Enjoy the wins. Wins should be celebrated. They got to win on Saturday. They've won a lot more than they've lost. But, man, is it about to get real in a week and a half. It is going to get real in a week and a half. I'll talk about some of the other teams in the Southeastern Conference and how they fared over the weekend coming up in 20 minutes. We'll also do take it or leave it to finish things up. But I do want to talk about the transfer portal in the next segment. LSU had a huge weekend of visitors, both high schoolers and transfer portal guys. There's a commitment that we got to talk about, and another one that's probably very imminent that we'll talk about as well. Going to talk about how those guys may fit in. So some LSU football transfer portal talk coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
David Duvall, One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. Just go to the website. Check it out, onebathandclosets.com. They've got testimonials there, and they'll tell the story of David Duvall's company that's been in business for 30 years, helping people in Baton Rouge redesign, renovate bathrooms and closets. David Duvall and his team are one-stop shop. They are licensed contractors. They can do a full-blown remodel. You need to knock out a wall. You need to add some space. You need to really renovate a portion of your home in the bathroom and the closet. David Duvall and his team can do it. Or maybe it's something fairly simple. All you need is just a tub-to-shower conversion in that bathroom. Pull the tub out, put in a glass shower that's a walk-in that really makes your bathroom more functional, more modern, and just better to look at. You don't have to move to create that for yourself. You can do it with One Bath and Closets. And on the closet side of thing, look, David Duvall's going to run a special for listeners of the show right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Tell him that we sent you over to One Bath and Closets, and he will not charge for the removal of your current closet or the install of the next. No labor charges. Just buy the unit. They'll put it in labor-free. Great deal over there at One Bath and Closets. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm.
16 in the NFL continues Saturday when the Patriots host Joe Burrow and the Bengals at noon, and the Steelers host the Raiders at 7:15 p.m. Then it's a Christmas Day triple header on Sunday with the Dolphins and the Packers at noon, the Rams and the Broncos at 3:30 p.m., and the Cardinals and the Buccaneers at 7:20 p.m. All here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Huge weekend for Brian Kelly and his staff on the recruiting trail. If you saw some videos that were coming out over the weekend, they set up a little tent at midfield of Tiger Stadium. I think they had some sort of dining availability on the field inside Death Valley on Saturday night. A huge group of players that were in town, and you did have a transfer portal commitment over the weekend in Aaron Anderson. I think a lot of people are familiar with Anderson. He was a 4 or 5 star recruit from Carr, committed to LSU at one point, then decided to back out and went to Tuscaloosa for a year. He is coming back home. Kind of figured that. We hinted at it last week. It's a crowded wide receiver room for next year, but after next year, Kayshon Boutte will be gone. You figure Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas have a chance to be gone. So there's going to be some availability for guys like Aaron Anderson, and then the good commitments that LSU's got at wide receiver in this high school class with Shelton Sampson and with Kyle Parker, and it's a very talented group of young players. But for me, Anderson's immediate impact is going to come in the return game. This is a guy who returned 3 kicks for touchdowns against John Curtis in a single high school game. He's 5'9", so he's a little shorter, but he's shifty. He's fast. He is everything you want in a return man. And I'll be pretty frank. At LSU, you should have a guy back there returning kickoffs and punts that puts the fear of God in other teams. That should happen. I don't need a 225-pound running back that doesn't run a 4.4 40 back there returning kickoffs. Now, clearly, multiple special teams coaches disagree with me. Nick Brissett was never going to win the 4x100 SEC championship relay. He was running kickoffs back. You've had Corey Kiner running kicks back as well. Now, I get it. These guys are running backs. It's not like they're slow. I want a track star back there. I want Trendon Holiday back there. I want Trey Palmer back there. I want somebody that is electrifying with the football. And I don't need a guy back there that can't catch, but he's fast. Like I'm not that naive to understand that there's a ball security piece to this puzzle. But there ought to be somebody back there that can change the game like that. And Aaron Anderson is that guy. Again, he's a little limited in what he can do as a primary wide receiver because he's only 5'9", 5'10". But you catch football and go, that's what I'm talking about. I don't need fair catching every punt, fair catching every kickoff. No. Give me somebody back there that can make a play, that can create a jolt of life for the team. That's what I hope Aaron Anderson can become in the return game next year. Now, it got so bad on this past team where you just had to prioritize catching the ball, and they put Greg Clayton back there, and I think he fair caught every ball. But, man, come on. This is LSU. You've got no fewer than 8 guys on any roster that can house kickoffs and punts. Put one of them back there. And if you don't want to get one of your A guys on the outside hurt, Anderson's not one of those guys right this second. You're going to be just fine out there with Kayshawn running routes and Brian Thomas running routes. You're going to be just fine with Malik Neighbors running routes. Shelton, put Anderson back there and let him run kicks. That's what I would like to see. And LSU's added him for sure. He's committed. There's another commitment that I think is fairly imminent, and that's Braden Swinson. He's an edge rusher from Oregon. 3.5 sacks this past year. They just need depth at defensive line. We haven't gotten a decision from Jaquelin Roy. We don't know. But we know Gay's gone. We know Ojulari's gone. They need some depth. Desmond Little transferred out. So you've got some guys, but you need more. I think it's possible, and this was a Haney point. You don't know. It's one of those things you can't know, but it's reasonable to connect some dots. LSU may have gotten tired in November. I just don't have a great explanation for Texas A&M running for 5 million yards. Texas A&M sucks. They shouldn't be jamming it down your throat. And they did. And then we saw what happened against Oregon. Now, they do that against Georgia. They did to a lot of people. But Braden Swinson would add some depth if LSU could bring him in. Good size, older player, ready to go. You're talking about a guy who's 6'4", 250 pounds. That works for me. Georgia boy. So I think he's coming back down south from Oregon. Now, there are some other names to look for here. Paris Shand was on campus. He is a transfer from Arizona. This guy is a little more difficult to peg. You're talking about a guy who's visited Rutgers, Ole Miss, LSU. He played at Arizona. Geography is not really an issue here. This is not Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché coming home. This is not Aaron Anderson coming home. This is a guy who is comfortable all over the place. But he is a defensive lineman. He does have really good size, and I'll take the warm body. Not sure what the timeline is on Shand, but I will take him. There's a new name that's surfaced as far as LSU goes on the defensive front, and it's Jalen Lee. Now, Jalen Lee is from Louisiana. Just finished his second year at Florida. He went to Live Oak from Watson. And he's never been a huge impact guy at Florida. But he's 6'3", 300 pounds. And he's played on an SEC roster. I'll take him. I need to know very little more than that. You can't have Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith playing every snap last year like Roy and Wingo are basically doing towards the end of this year. That can't happen. I know Mason Smith went down in the first quarter of the season, and that sucks. But you've got to build depth. And I just, Matt always says you always take more quarterbacks. I'll take more linemen. It's a little easier to replace a wide receiver or a safety than it is to replace a lineman. There just aren't that many humans that can fill the shoes of an SEC lineman. Jalen Lee's not going to be a first-team All-American next year. But he was a 4-star recruit. He weighs 300 pounds. He's played at Florida. I'll take him. And I'll certainly take Paris Shand, and I'll certainly take Braden Swinson. LSU has got to restock the shelves at defensive line, and that's very, very difficult to do with freshmen. There just aren't that many freshmen that are ready to come in and give you positive, impactful snaps in the Southeastern Conference. So, yeah, it's great to go sign some defensive linemen who are 4- and 5-star players. They may not be ready. I'll take the 20, 21, 22-year-old, quite frankly. So it's just a weird time in the calendar for college football coaches. You've got a bowl game coming up around the first of the year. You've had the transfer portal open for 2 weeks. You've got signing day coming up on Wednesday. You've got to juggle a lot of hats. I was reading a story on Mike Norvell earlier today over at Florida State. They practice in the mornings at Florida State. They do every single day all year long. Now they're out of school, so whatever. But they're going to have practice on Wednesday morning. He's going to bring his cell phone out there in his pocket because you got to if somebody's got an issue, there's some kind of problem, whether the fax didn't come or we're thinking about going somewhere else, you may need that phone. Reminds me of like the super regional practices when the MLB draft's going on. Now, they've moved that, thankfully. They used to have guys out there taking ground balls at short, getting picked by the Pirates in the 23rd round. They literally would take their cell phones and give them all to the director of baseball ops, and he'd hold them in a basket till one of them started ringing. It'd be an agent saying, hey, the Pirates are calling. They want to offer $115K. We good? Got to have guys coming in and out of the batting cages to sign stuff. There's too much going on. It's the same type deal with football coaches this time of year. Yeah, you got to get ready for this bowl game. Yeah, you got to figure out your travel for that, your schedule, when you're going to use your 15 practices. Oh, by the way, the transfer portal's open. Make sure your whole team sticks around, and you got to go get all the players from the other teams that are in the transfer portal. Oh, by the way, there's a recruiting cycle that's open right now. You got to sign all these kids and get all that hay in the barn. By the way, your coordinator just left because he got a new job, and he's out of there, so you got to figure something out for the bowl game. It's an absolute circus in terms of what college football coaches have to be dealing with this time of year. But one of them is the transfer portal. It seems like to me LSU is pretty organized and has things going pretty well. There hasn't been a mass exodus of impactful players from LSU's program. They've been very selective and very thorough in what they want to do in the transfer portal. And those offers have been extended in a lot of cases, and you're just kind of waiting to see how you restock the shelves. Roster management, the most important thing college football coaches do, and certainly over the weekend you're hosting a lot of recruits that you hope to get in the boat, but you've also got guys that are here in the transfer portal. LSU picks up Aaron Anderson. I think Braden Swinson will commit pretty quickly, and we'll see what else they can do along the defensive front as we move a little bit forward. Excited to chat with some guys in the industry over the next couple of days with signing day coming up on Wednesday, and we'll see exactly kind of where LSU shakes out. This class looks really, really good on paper right now. You got to get that paper signed as of Wednesday and get the hay in the barn with a lot of these guys. So that's a look at the transfer portal as LSU had its final weekend now in a dead period until signing day cranks up in the opening signing period on Wednesday. Take it or leave it. Going to close out the show a little bit later when we come back. SEC had a lot of big basketball games over the weekend. I'll quickly give you some thumbnails on that and kind of where things stand in the Southeastern Conference. Looking up at the Myrtle Beach Bowl right now, you got the Marshall Thundering Herd up on UConn 14-0. They play early in the second quarter. Again, that's a ridiculous time slot at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Monday. But such is bowl season. The Myrtle Beach Bowl going on right now on ESPN. Come back with us. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Santa Barkley is coming to town, and he's delivering $20 million in gifts this holiday season to all FanDuel customers. Doesn't matter if you've been naughty or nice, St. Chuck has something for everybody. Just check out your FanDuel app for a no-sweat same-game parlay, bonuses, and all sorts of stuff that'll fill you with holiday cheer. If you're new to FanDuel, now's the perfect time to sign up. To remember to use the promo code 1045ESPN. That's promo code 1045ESPN. The app's easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great promotions. And when you win, you get paid instantly. So see for yourself why FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. Get in on the holiday spirit with $20 million in gifts from Santa Barkley. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Prize total dependent on customer participation. Wager requirements apply. Gifts awarded with a non-withdrawable site credit for free bets. See FanDuel.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A third of youth who grow up in foster care are homeless 18 months after aging out of care. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a $1 million.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap Saints-Falcons and everything Brian Kelly had to say about the recruiting weekend and bowl prep for Purdue. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As usual, we'll have take it or leave it here to close down the show in 15 minutes, but I want to touch on a few huge results from SEC basketball over the weekend. The Gonzaga-Bama game was high level. The offenses were humming in that thing. Gonzaga beats Alabama 100-90. Look, Drew Timmy's been at Gonzaga for 413 years. He's still a stud. He had 29 points in the game. Gonzaga in the second half of this game in Birmingham shot 74%. They scored 53 after halftime. 74%. Nate Oates' crew just couldn't get stops. But if you didn't watch this game and you hadn't watched Bama play, Brandon Miller is going to be a bit of a problem for the SEC. This guy is a surefire lottery pick. He's a star. He's a 6'9 freshman. He goes for 36 points in this game, 6 of 11 from deep. He's hitting them off pin down screens. He's hitting them off the bounce. He's hitting them in transition. He's getting to the rim and throwing down dunks, getting steals. He was the best player on the floor. Now, Gonzaga had the better team on that day, and they win the game in impressive fashion by 10. But Brandon Miller is a freak, and that's what 5 stars should be. That's what he is. He's going to be as good a player as there is in the Southeastern Conference this year. You know, Sheboy is the National Player of the Year from last year. He is what he is. But Miller is a surefire pro, and he was outrageous in the game on Saturday. I did not get a chance to watch Arizona and Tennessee. I was in Christmas movie mode. The game was at 9:30 on Saturday night, so we were in Christmas movie mode. That was It's a Wonderful Lifetime in my house. But I did go over the box score and I read some stories on the game. And the biggest deal in this game, Arizona beats Tennessee 75-70 out west. Arizona was 24 of 27 from the free throw line. They made 24 free throws. Tennessee was 8 of 10. They only shot 10. You look at a game that's decided by 5 points and one team's got a 16 free throw edge. There's your answer. Tennessee, too handsy, too aggressive. You got Arizona getting to the foul line, putting pressure on that defense, and obviously did enough. Those two teams have played really competitive games in Knoxville and Tucson over the last 2 years, and they're both good basketball teams. Tennessee's going to be just fine. Zakai Ziegler was incredible in the game statistically. He's a warrior. He was really good at the end of last year, and he's been a guy that they lean on pretty heavily this year as well. I was looking up the box score to see what Julian Phillips did, the former LSU commitment, big 5-star kid. He had 3 points in the game, just kind of a non-factor for him. But Tennessee loses to Arizona. Kentucky went out west. They played UCLA, or sorry, they went up to Manhattan and played UCLA. 63-53 was the final. Kentucky only scored 53 points. They shot 33%, had 18 turnovers. That's just a clunky offensive showing. And they should be better than that. They've got some ancillary pieces on the wing that should be better. Wheeler is at this point a third-year starting point guard. You got the National Player of the Year down there on the block, and they just couldn't get anything going against UCLA. Mick Cronin has just got a really good program over there. They win a lot of games. They do it with not as much star power as some of the other teams across the country, and their defense was sensational in the game on Saturday. To hold Kentucky to 53 points is really impressive. And so Kentucky, I don't think many days is going to shoot 33% and turn it over 18 times, but when they do, they're going to lose. And they did lose that one by 10 to UCLA. So basically, as I continue to roll through this, it hadn't been a banner weekend for the Southeastern Conference in basketball. You got Gonzaga going to beat Bama. You got Arizona handling Tennessee. UCLA beat Kentucky. And then Auburn played Southern Cal and lost. And this Auburn team has kind of stepped up in weight class twice and has gotten beat. Memphis got them. Now they lose to Southern Cal. It's just that they're not quite what they were last year. And look, you lose Walker Kessler and you lose Jabari Smith. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And they brought Katie Johnson back, and Johnny Broom's been really good for him as a transfer in the block. But you had the number one shot blocker in college basketball and probably the best pure talent in college basketball last year. And they just haven't been able to replace those guys necessarily. So I still think Auburn's good. I still know Bruce Pearl can coach. That place is a hornet's nest to go in there and play. And so they're going to be fine, I think, when Southeastern Conference play arrives. But they haven't done very well in the non-conference. So from an LSU perspective, as I sit here and look at it, you know, the conference, I think, is very strong. I think that you've got some really nice wins that this league has put together. But it may have taken a little bit of a step down from last year. I think the top of the league was a little bit better last year. Take out the ridiculous upset of Kentucky in the tournament, the fact that Auburn never quite got it rolling. They were a tough team to beat. Obviously Bama was really good. A&M got hot at the end. Arkansas made its run and was really good, even though it started out a little bumpy for them in non-conference play. I think the top of the league was better last year than it is this year, but there is a lot of depth. I think LSU's toward the bottom. I gave the power rankings last week, and I put LSU at 10th. I think they're definitely better than Vanderbilt. I think they're definitely better than Georgia. I think they're definitely better than South Carolina. After that, it gets a little bit tougher to start saying that. But we'll see. And Mississippi State continues to win. They remain undefeated. They're playing great defense. So I think they may be a little bit better than I thought in year number one under Chris Jans. But a tough weekend for the Southeastern Conference in terms of basketball. Gonzaga beats Bama, Arizona beats Tennessee, UCLA beats Kentucky, and Auburn beats Southern Cal. That's a clean sweep in huge, huge games. It's about time to flip the switch over to college basketball. We still got bowl games cooking. We're going to talk a ton of recruiting, but college basketball is in full swing. It's a little bit more fun when we think LSU's got a real chance, and I don't necessarily think that's the case right today as we sit here. Certainly improvement can happen, but it doesn't feel that way. And maybe the league's not quite what we thought it was. It certainly didn't show itself to be too strong on Saturday. Look up at the Myrtle Beach Bowl, still 14-0. Marshall and UConn doing battle over in Myrtle Beach. I want to remind you about dropbiscuit.com. Go check out dropbiscuit.com. Browse our growing library. While you're there, you can subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, or whatever southern flavored audio biscuit you might fancy. That is dropbiscuit.com. Tiger basketball team back on the hardwood on Wednesday for one more tune-up for Southeastern Conference play when they get a visit from the Arkansas Razorbacks. Field goal attempt for UConn is up. That is not very good. Looked like one of my tee shots yesterday, just dead, pulled left and low. So UConn does not get on the board. There are 8 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the first half of the Myrtle Beach Bowl, 14-0. Marshall will come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and close it out here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants.
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Citizens Bank poll question of the day at 104.5 ESPN. Sometimes use this to kind of gauge a little bit of the listenership and things you're interested in, things you are not. Kind of get some information. We tweeted this out a little bit earlier. Which team's results are you more invested in currently? The Cincinnati Bengals or LSU women's basketball? Both teams winning a lot of games. Bengals have won 6 in a row, and the Lady Tigers are unbeaten as they went down and won the Maui Classic. And the results in 65% say the Cincinnati Bengals and 35% say LSU women's basketball. I do think there is a sentiment of people in South Louisiana because of Joe and because of Jamar that have found themselves really rooting for the Bengals. I count myself among them. I have watched every snap of the last 3 Bengals games. That is not something I was prepared to have done as of 4 years ago, but here we are. It's odd, and I'm a little bit excited. I talked about this in the first hour. A little bit excited to see another Bengals playoff run, see what they can do. Right now, they're in control of the AFC North, and with Lamar Jackson being out, reason to believe they can hang on and win that division and get a home playoff game, and we'll see where things take them in the postseason, whether it's to snowy Buffalo or back to Kansas City, or maybe it runs through Cincinnati if they can win out and get a little bit of help. You never know, but I'm excited about that for sure. So there's your Citizens Bank question of the day. Speaking of the NFL, man, when they released the schedule, they were probably thinking, oh, look at this, middle of December, look at this Monday night matchup we have created. This is going to be huge. The Rams at the Packers. What a great game that's going to be. Not. Just out of curiosity, morbid curiosity, quite frankly, I just looked up the Green Bay weather for tonight. Looking at game time kickoff, about 15 degrees. So it'll be the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field tonight. The problem is the two teams that are playing have been awful all year long. The Packers are 7.5-point favorites tonight on the FanDuel Sportsbook. They got some odds boost here. If Aaron Rodgers throws for 200 yards and Aaron Jones has 50 rushing yards and the Packers win, you can get plus 280 on that, which is pretty good. The Rams have been pretty bad all year. We'll see if they can show up in the frozen tundra. I don't know how much of that I'll be locked into tonight, to be quite frank. Those two teams we thought would be really, really good. They are really, really not. So that's your Monday Night Football action for the weekend. Pels had a rough weekend. They go on that road trip out west. They lose all 3 games. They lost both of them up there in Utah, then blew a 23-point lead against Phoenix. That's tough, but still in pretty good spot. If you told me at this point this is where they would be positioned in the Western Conference, you'd feel pretty good about it, especially with BI out. So Pels will be all right, but as of right now, a 3-game losing streak after rattling off 7 wins in a row. All right, let's do it. We'll close things out as we do each and every day with a little take it or leave it. Taylor Sharp.
Yeah, now look, don't get too excited. Remain seated on this first one. The Cubs have signed Dansby Swanson to a 7-year deal over the weekend. The Cubs are back. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. They're not back, but they're making steps in the right direction here. Went and got a nice pitcher in Tyon. Went and got a shortstop. They can now move Nico Horner over to second base. They've got as good a middle infield defensively as there is in Major League Baseball. They're not back, but I appreciate the brass up there for opening the purse strings and for paying a human being to play baseball. Too long, just letting everybody walk. That's a good start. Brightened my weekend a little bit when they did that. I'm very excited for Cubs baseball this year, even though I think they're probably a year away. That was very good. So welcome to Chicago, Lieutenant Dansby Swanson. He will be the new shortstop on the north side. I like that very much, although I don't think they're back to where they were in 2016-17.
Bo Nix announced that he will return to Oregon for his final season of eligibility. The Ducks are the Pac-12 favorites in 2023. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. I do think they'll be good. I do think that there's a pretty good quarterback playing for the Trojans next year as well. So I would take USC without knowing what the two rosters are going to look like. Obviously, I don't pretend to know a ton about Oregon's roster, USC's roster, what recruiting classes are coming in or whatnot. But I do know Lincoln Riley. I do know Caleb Williams. And I feel like that USC will be the favorite out there. But Bo Nix had an incredible year this year, certainly a lot better than his performance was more often than not against for Auburn, save one day in Tiger Stadium last fall. But that's a good thing for Oregon to have him coming back, for Dan Lanning in that program to have its quarterback, I think is a big deal. So Oregon should be thought of pretty highly in the offseason, I would think.
Kim Mulkey's Lady Tigers swept the Maui Classic over the weekend, beating Oregon State by 30 points to win it all. The Lady Tigers are Final Four good. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, they've got a great coach. They've got a good roster. Angel Reese is throwing up ridiculous numbers. I certainly am not going to sit here and tell you that I've watched a ton of the women's team. I have not. And I know their schedule's been putrid, but they're dusting everybody. And I think in a sport in women's college basketball that really is haves and have-nots, LSU is a have now. Is it the finished project under Kim Mulkey? No. But there aren't that many great women's college basketball teams, and LSU is moving in that direction. So she's going to win a national championship here. I would bet on that. I don't know that it'll be this year, but I do think that she's a great coach. She's got some talent, And I know there's really good talent coming in with the number 1 player in the country who's go to Parkway up there in Bossier coming in for next year. The future is very, very bright, but I think the current's pretty bright. They're dusting everybody. I think that they got a chance to make the Final Four for sure.
The World Cup final, take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, apparently it was awesome. I didn't watch a kick. I was playing golf and enjoyed that very much. But apparently, like I critique soccer a lot because no one ever scores and they fake injuries all the time. It sounds like they were scoring. They were putting the ball in the net. It was back and forth. It was stoppage time. It had 2 of the best players in the world, and Mbappe and then Messi, kind of getting his validation. I did see the Argentina play-by-play radio guy go nuts on the final kick. I did see the Buenos Aires celebration that was going on that was incredible. I realize how big a deal it is. I understand that it was incredibly dramatic. I'm not going to watch it, but I'm glad that those that did watch it enjoyed it. It sounded like it was fantastic. I'm still not going to give you a ton of credit for deciding the biggest tournament in the world by a goalie guessing which way he's going to dive. That's not necessarily how I would like to decide sporting events. Back them up. That's what I would do, and make it a little bit more difficult to score and allow the goalie to have a chance to see where the ball's going and try to save it instead of just diving one way and hoping the guy kicks it into him. Not my favorite thing, but apparently in terms of drama, in terms of name brand recognition, stars, the whole deal, it went off without a hitch. Now, they're coming to North America in 4 years. They'll actually run that thing properly instead of the ridiculousness that was going over in Qatar with tragically people that are losing their lives, can't drink beer, all kind of crazy stuff happening. Maybe we'll have things a little bit more put together in the Americas come up in 4 years. But for those that love the World Cup, for those that watch it, I'm thrilled that it was a great final. I'm going to go play golf and enjoy that a lot more than the World Cup. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter.
I'm assuming Argentina won.
They did. You're correct.
I didn't even know.
Yep.
Will Anderson and Bryce Young are going to play in the bowl game. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's great for the sport.
I'll take it.
It's great for the sport. I don't know how Saban does some of the things he does, but these are 2 guys that are going to go in the top 5 picks of the draft, I think, and for them to play in a game that for that program is quote-unquote meaningless is great. I think it's great for Kansas State that they get a chance to play against Alabama at quote-unquote full strength, and I think it's awesome when kids want to play. I'm not going to fault them for not doing it. I'm not going to fault guys for sitting out more often than not. There's just a lot of money at stake, and what we're doing to these bowl games with the transfer portal and coaches leaving, all that kind of stuff, to hold players to a different standard to me is a little bit foolish, but I am going to applaud the ones that stick around and want to be a part of playing in the bowl game. Alabama has really struggled in this game when they hadn't made the playoff for the BCS. Look at the Utah game. Look at the Oklahoma game. We'll see what their motivation level is for this one, but their 2 best players decided to play and they didn't have to, so I think that's a really, really good thing for the sport. I will take that.
D1 Baseball has agreed to become the streaming distributor for the Round Rock Classic this coming February. Are you going to take that or leave it?
I will take it. I'm fired up. For those that don't know, LSU is playing in the Round Rock Classic this baseball season. It's their second week of their season. Let me pull up the teams. I know Iowa is in it, and I believe Sam Houston is in it as well, but I'm pulling it up right now. LSU will play in the Round Rock Classic in 2023 against Iowa, Sam Houston, and Kansas State. We lost to Kansas State in football and basketball, so maybe we can get them back in baseball. But it's great that we're going to be able to watch this. You can find it on D1 Baseball. Kendall Rogers and his class, his crew over there do an awesome job, and they're kind of expanding their capabilities as far as they cover the sport as well as anybody. But now they're going to start to get some streaming rights, and it's going to start in Round Rock. So LSU will play. It's February 24th through the 26th over there at Dell Diamond in Round Rock, just outside of Austin. So I don't know that I'll be able to go to that. It doesn't look like that's going to work on the schedule for me with this show and where it falls and the game times. But I'm thrilled that we'll be able to watch every pitch of it. You never know in this day and age. Sometimes the basketball team runs down there to the Cayman Islands and it's on some high school streaming thing. This seems a little bit better. So I haven't gotten the information on exactly if it's a pay to watch or pay-per-view. I'll tell you this, LSU basketball playing 2 podunk schools on Thanksgiving weekend, probably not going to get $30 from me. I'd probably pay $100 to watch this, quite frankly. So this LSU baseball team for me is going to be must-see TV. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people around the state and certainly this market in Baton Rouge. So good news when they go play Iowa, Kansas State, and Sam Houston in February. D1Baseball.com is going to have the streaming rights to that, so you'll be able to watch it. That's a great thing, so I will certainly take that. Another score check from Myrtle Beach as we close things up here on a Monday. Marshall all over the Huskies. It is 21-0, the Thundering Herd over in Myrtle Beach. They play on in the second quarter. So if you got some cash laid down on that, there's your update on the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That's going to do it for us here on a Monday. We opened up the show talking about Brian Kelly's press conference from this weekend, talking about Jarek Bernard-Converse and Jay Ward playing, and I gave my thoughts on Jaden Daniels practicing. It appears he's going to play in this game, so I gave you my quarterback thoughts there. The Saints got to win. We talked about that in segment number 2. I went around the entire NFL in segment 3, and we closed up the first hour of the show talking about Florida and the state of that program under Billy Napier as they got taken to the woodshed by Oregon State, and now they move forward into year 2. See what they can do with their quarterback class, which they've got a 5-star committed, and maybe Grayson McCall on the way. LSU Hoops Talk at 2 o'clock. Transfer portal for the Tigers, Aaron Anderson, Braden Swinson, and some more. And then we went over the SEC in basketball at 2:30. If you missed it, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all that jazz. Jimmy Ott's Game Time, 6 to 8 tonight. Matt's about to drive you home on AFR. We will see you tomorrow on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.